Saludos and welcome everybody to the PGP podcast. Ready to make sure that we all work together. Hey, Josh Tovar, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, NC, Garland, USA, and this Sunday evening as we're preparing for that week of giving thanks. You know what? It's very exciting. It's very awesome to have everybody here. And I want to just take this quick time to say thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you're seeing us right now or on the broadcast. You know what? Some shows give us a couple of hundred views. Some show give us a couple of thousand views, whatever it is. But this show is about making sure what we do. We bring tools for you. You're not alone. If you're in Iowa or Wisconsin or New York or Nebraska or Montana, we're all in this together because we're all in the best profession, the profession that creates all the other professions, education. And we need you to be part of this. So if you're here, like and share this show, tag somebody else because you know what? It's just a talent. The guests have been off the chain. This is episode 28, and we're booked all the way to February looking for guests in March. So I might be reaching out to you because I need you. We need your brain and your experiences to make sure that we bring this community together. The PGP podcast, part of the Fantastic Four. Dr. Moreno, how are you doing?
Josh, I'm doing awesome. I'm getting over this cold, but other than that, I'm doing awesome. And I am getting ready to go to Puerto Vallarta tomorrow. And I'm helping a little school. It's a school, about 120 students down there, primary school. So I'm taking 3 large suitcases full of supplies. So I'm super excited. I'll be working with Dr. Torres down there in PBA, or I'm sorry, Puerto Vallarta. So super excited about that and looking forward to a fantastic week. And guess what? This is the last week before many of our educators take the break, right? Take that Thanksgiving break. I know you're looking forward to that week, Josh. I know. I could see it. I could see it in your face. And you
Well,
know what? We all need a break sometimes.
exactly. And you know what? Regardless of the break or anything, it's about bringing that joy to our kids, to our team members at the campus, because you know what? We're a tight knit community, whether it be within your district, within your campus,
Mhm.
and within your whole city. And that's what the Chinchilagua moment's about today. Chinchilagua, what are you talking about? My peeps from El Paso, you know what I'm talking about when I say Chinchilagua. But if you're from Rockwall, if you are from Saxe, you're like Chinchilagua, you're from Iowa, you have no idea what the heck I just said. Chinchilagua is a game played by Mexicans. I don't know about the Salvadoreños. I still haven't heard Nicaraguenses tell me that. But what you do is that you line up against a wall, you line up from a tree, and then you make a big line. And then the other kids, your cousins, your uncles, whoever it is, they yell, Chinchilagua y arriba boy, and you run and you jump on top of someone's back. And the next person, you say it again and you jump, and it becomes a big human pyramid. It's all fun and games until you get hurt. So, what I'd like to today mention is that, you know, we work in a beautiful community, whether it be a campus, whether it be a feeder pattern, a district. Let's make sure that right now is it's time to give thanks, that we don't put up that professional front with our team members. This is a lonely field, and we choose to make that when we isolate ourselves from our neighboring campus, from our parents, whatever it might be. We need to reach out and be thankful to them. I know that a lot of ISDs, a lot of districts right now, that what they do is that they go out and they bring us together. Either they bring administrators together, central office together, and everything. But let's make sure that we're thankful for everybody around us. So let's make sure that we bond as a learning community, that we bond as a district by, you know what? And I don't know about you, Dr. Moreno. I'm pretty sure that Houston, where you worked at, was a bigger district than what Garland is, what Isleta is, what the Socorro was that I came from. But you know, there's always those barriers, those professional barriers that we put up with. And then even within our profession, we despise people that say, well, that's not my job. Oh, that's not my learning community. And that creates that barrier when it should be a universal one of caring and appreciating each other as educators, but most importantly, caring and appreciating for our students. Have you ever faced that, Dr. Moreno?
Absolutely. And you know what? Kids see this, right? So it's important for us to embrace and celebrate and welcome everyone who wants to come in to visit our schools and then actually go and do outreach as well. So I remember as a school principal during these holiday seasons, going out and providing community, providing support, providing that opportunity, because people need to see us out in the community working together, because it takes a village to educate our kids. And we want to make sure that we include everybody. So you're absolutely right. You're right. Houston is huge, but that doesn't mean that we cannot make it a better place by going out and celebrating and doing, even going down to your elementary campuses. I mean, there's nothing
Right.
wrong with that, right? Or going to your high school. I was a middle school campus, and so I was always stuck in the middle, right?
Right.
But always reaching out to your fellow colleagues.
And you know what? And I'm pretty sure our team members today, we are family part two. We have different team members from different parts of the campus. Because does anyone ever reach out to the elementary librarians if you're in high school? You know that hardly happens. Whoever truly reaches out to the trainers that are out there in the dust storms, in the heat, whoever reaches out to them that are in the elementary, they don't. That's a fact. They're isolated. What about our counselors? Our high school counselors are just stuck with nonstop trivia of checking off this box, checking this transcript. And you know what? It's those kind of things that you need to, hey, how are you doing? Hey, thank you very much for this. Muchas gracias por esto. And it's those things right now in the Chinchilagua moment to make sure that we all reach out during this time of Thanksgiving. But like I tell our Jaguars during our morning announcements, Thanksgiving is not just a week. It should be the whole year. Hispanic Heritage Month, it's not just a month, it's a whole year. Black History Month is not just a month, it's a whole year. Italian American, Irish American, Native American Month, they should be celebrated throughout the years. And as the educators, we need to make that a concerted effort. And part of the flashback right now, it's episode 5 with Sean Hurt, part of the Fantastic Four. He was here talking about parent engagement in his brand new book. That was like over an hour and a half show. So if you have any questions about parent engagement, if you have any other questions about how to bring your learning community, like I said right now, bring in your parents, do that. Sean Hurt is the kind of guy that you need around you. His book will show you the pathway to ensure that parents come in, because once you have the parents, the kids, and your team members together, you have a national blue ribbon school. Yes or no, Dr. Moreno?
Absolutely. Snap to that.
Well, you know what? Without further ado, the diamonds, the best of everybody's coming on board, because we are family. Yeah, we talk about our team members in the classroom that are delivering instruction always. Yes, we're talking always about our coaches winning by district or area championships. Yeah, we're doing all that kind of stuff. But you know what? There are a lot of heroes, unsung heroes within our campus that people really don't take time to have that dialogue, to give the kudos. And it's a fact, because I've seen it. You know, I'm an old fart, like I always say, 32 years in this business, and people don't reach out to these other kind of jobs, but they're crucial to the learning environment. They're crucial for the caring of our kids. They're crucial to make sure that we get them through chapter 1, which is high school, and going on to whatever they choose, whatever their dreams brings to them. We'd like to welcome to the panel right now, and what we'll be doing is we'll be asking you guys to please tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in education, and what made you enter public education. So what do you do, how long you've been in it, and what sparked that flame? You know, what made you say, hey, I want to have the red apple in my hand? Monica Black.
Hi, my name is Monica Black, and I'm the librarian at Memorial Pathway Academy, where the wonderful Josh Tovar is our principal. I've been in education for about 30 years now. I started in the middle school classroom, ELAR, and moved to the elementary library, and now I'm at the high school library. And what really sparked my interest in public education was just wanting to be able to create a place for children to feel like they belong. I grew up in a multi-generational household at a time when a lot of people weren't doing that. So we had a lot of people in the household, and we felt safe and secure. But sometimes when there's a lot of you, it's hard to find that carve out that space where you feel like you belong. And I found that very early in public school. And I found those teachers who were looking for students like me, who wanted to find that place. And I just wanted to be that for someone else. That's what sparked my interest in it. And I'm loving every single year doing it. It never gets old.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Amy St. Clair, a great person, brought us together today. This is the first time we meet. That's the beautiful thing about making connections with individuals. Talk to us, Amy.
That's right. I'm Amy Sinclair. I'm an elementary school counselor at Beaver Technology Center. That's in Garland ISD. I have been in education about 17 years, started as a second grade teacher, and just found that more and more the academic needs were being met, but could see that kids were really struggling with the social and emotional needs. And, it all stemmed from a great educator I had in fourth grade that made me feel seen and important and valued. And I just wanted to help more kids and have a greater influence over kids and families and meet that social emotional need, because if that need's met, the academics will come along. There won't be anything standing in their way. So that's where I am now, loving my school and loving what I do with my kids.
Thank you for
Awesome.
sharing. Appreciate you. Gabby Ayala, talk to us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabi Ayala. I am the librarian at Jane Hambrick School in Socorro ISD, which is a K-8 campus. This is year 12 for me in education. Started out as an English teacher at the high school level. Did that for 9.5 years before I took that step into librarianship. What inspired me to become a teacher was those teachers that I had in high school that inspired me, that were there for me when I needed them, that instilled that love of learning in me. And I decided, you know what? I want to be like them. I want to be that inspiration for other students.
Very cool. And just putting it out there, like always, when I say I got to give kudos to the person, when we did the first show, I thought that I was thinking out of the box because I had her sister, the head custodian of a high school. And again, I'm part of the blinder problem. She goes, what about the librarians, Tovar? There we go. That's why we are family part 2. Thanks to that lady right there. Gotta give the props. Thank you for calling me out. I love when people call me out when I know that I'm wrong. So there you go. Nathan, talk to us.
I'm Nathan Swanner, 27 years in public education as an athletic trainer and also as a teacher as well. What got me into what I'm doing today is in high school, I had a coach that kind of pushed me to get to where I wanted to be as far as being like a student trainer. So I did that in high school for 4 years, continued on that at Oklahoma State University. Graduated there and moved to Texas in 1998, and I've been here ever since. So I kind of knew at an early age, as a freshman in high school, this is what I wanted to do, and this was my calling, to be in education and be an athletic trainer.
Awesome. And another hardworking guy, like I said, you weren't here, Joe. I was saying this guy is always on point, and he showed up late to me by 1 minute, but it's all right. Hey, Joe Messenger, talk to the audience.
Good evening. My name is Joe Messenger. I've been in public education for 29 years now. The reason I went into education was actually my algebra teacher in high school. Math always came easy to me, and it's kind of an ironic story because I thought I wanted to be an algebra teacher, but when I was in college, my head trainer told me, you want to be an algebra teacher or an athletic trainer? You don't have time to do both. So I kind of had to redirect and go into that, but because of that respect for education and teaching and the time that Mr. Brown took in high school to explain how to do one math problem, he would spend the entire period showing multiple ways to do a math problem. So some of my math teachers and professors in college didn't like me because I would challenge them and say, if I show my work and I get the right answer, why am I wrong if I don't do it your way? And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to teach people, and colleagues have to understand every kid learns differently, and you have to find what works for that child. As far as athletic training goes, it was actually one of my high school coaches as well. He went on to win 5 state championships at 5 different high schools in the state of Colorado. His name was Wade Mortensen. Him and his wife actually just retired from Adams State University, where I went to college. And they actually were both very influential in me joining the Athletic Training Society, in which I've ran with. I've participated in state championships, second place, multiple gold medals across the realm. And the biggest thing that I can add to that is don't stop growing. I mean, things change constantly. There's been so much stuff lately posted in regards to what's going on.
Awesome. And I just to all let you know, obviously we all have our niches. It's kind of hard if you're Montana to know who Joe Messenger from Bel Air High School in El Paso, Texas is. It's kind of hard to know all our team members here. But let me tell you, what that cat just said right now, it's facts. I worked with that guy 4 or 5 years, something like that. I was in charge of athletics, and that guy will call me out but in a respectful way, but being an advocate for kids. And that doesn't matter what kind of administrator you are, doesn't matter what kind of educator you are. That's the kind of advocate that you need to have on your campus. Somebody that speaks truth to what kids need. And that's the kind of guy that you want around you in your system, whatever that system is. Athletics, in this case, at that campus, it is there. And welcome right now to Shika Houston. Next week, part of the Fantastic Four will be here from South Carolina. Go Gamecocks. And welcome to Dot McKeever Jeever. Also, one more thing, part of the Fantastic Four family. Welcome to the show. Go, Dr. Moreno.
You know, I'm super excited. We have 2 librarians, a counselor, and 2 athletic trainers. So just to recap everybody's roles, and everybody knows what our backgrounds are. So before we get into any further discussion, let's peel back that onion just a little bit, and let's tell the audience, how were you as a student in high school, or in maybe in any learning institution? So we're going to start off with Joe.
It's funny you mentioned that. So let's go back to middle school. So in middle school math, I would be completing my assignment before the teacher was done explaining it on the board. And she would tell me, you need to find something else to do because I don't want you making noise. And so I actually learned how to wiggle my ears in 8th grade math because I was told I probably had ADD, ADHD. I probably had a learning disability in regard to gifted and talented, but that didn't exist when I went to school. So I always had to find a way to do it. When I was in high school, it was easy. I get up an hour before school start and finish any homework I had. I graduated top 10% of my class. It's when I went to college is when I was finally challenged at the learning level. That's why, I just beat my head now because, year one in education for me was 1995. And I had a principal by the name of Diane Jones. And I got called into her office to ask, why is your failure rate so high? And I was mad. And sit down and let me explain something to you. Don't you think my boss wants to know why your failure rate's so high? Just put it in writing. I'm sure it's a direct correlation between absences, attendance. And I went back and I was like, okay. And so I put a pencil to paper and I was like, yeah, the kids that are absent are the kids that fail. And, that's an easy correlation when the attendance rates at those campuses are terrible. And, it's like I tell kids all the time, if you're here, you're more likely to pass my class. If you're not, you're probably going to fail.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Nathan, how about you?
Well, I grew up in southern Oklahoma, a small town called Ardmore. So my high school was pretty big as far as, classification for the state of Oklahoma. We were 4A back then. And so I was just involved in a lot of sports growing up through middle school, through high school. Middle school, I played, football, basketball, a little golf. But when I got to high school, I was just like, well, I'm not going to make football. I wasn't very big, and I wasn't going to play basketball either. So that's kind of like where my football coach and basketball coach kind of got me going to be a student trainer in high school. And so that continued on all 4 years that I was in high school. And it also helped me in the classroom as well. I finished in the top 10 of my class. And so I had goals that I was setting in high school to go to college and advance what I wanted to do. And so I had to, basically do my best in high school because also my mom was at the high school I was at. She was the school nurse. And so I always had a health background. And so I had a health background. I thought about going into physical therapy. But then I realized that was going to be a lot tougher on me as far as grade wise in college. So that's kind of where I was in high school and also going into college as well. I mean, school, I would say, came easy to me, but I was still challenged in classes, taking honors classes and AP classes because let's face it, when your mom's at the high school, you have to. So that's kind of what my high school was about.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had my kids I was a principal and my kids were kids at my school, and it was horrible. My kids were like, I hated my high school years because mom was there all the time. So I get it. Amy, how about you?
So when I was in elementary, I grew up in the Garland ISD school, district. In middle school, I had the unique opportunity. My dad worked for an oil company. and took a job overseas. And so our family moved to Indonesia. First time I'd been out of the country, experiencing a third world country, and living as an expatriate family. So I did that from sixth to ninth grade. It was a really incredible experience. Just learning in a different type of school system. It was much more rigorous than what I had been used to. We moved back when I was in high school, and really just, I mean, kind of like Nathan, the academics weren't an issue for me, but just most of high school was just trying to figure out where I fit in socially, who I was. That was a big part of my personal development. What were my beliefs? Going to church, being a big part of my youth group, trying to find what interests I had in newspaper and speech and debate. No knock to my high school counselors, but I honestly don't remember even knowing a high school counselor. I think I got into a couple of honors classes. I just wasn't pushed like I think I should have been or could have been. Ended up going to college and even still graduating, not really knowing what I wanted to do. And so I think that helped me. I graduated with a psychology degree, kind of took the roundabout way into education as an alternative certified teacher starting in second grade, and just found my passion there. But I think that's a lot of my job as an elementary school counselor is even now starting those conversations of connecting interest to career development and helping kids to figure that out, because I could have saved myself a whole lot of years of anxiety trying to figure out my way in this world and figure out what I wanted to do. But all around, I ended up in the right place.
Awesome. And it's funny because now in the roles that you are in now, you're trying to make a difference so that you're not, you're helping and supporting kids in ways that you weren't supported or felt you were supported. So it's nice to hear that you're doing that. Gabby, what about you?
Oh boy, was I ever the scholar in high school. I did have the opportunity to go to an early college high school. Thanks to a middle school counselor that was always hounding me, Miss Ayala, turn in your application. I need your application. I need your application. And I had the opportunity to thank him, to let him know it was because of you that I had that opportunity to go to the early college. And also because I was always focused on school. Mostly because I am the daughter of two Mexican immigrants who did not have the opportunity to even finish elementary school. And my dad was always like, yo quiero una mejor vida para ustedes. I always want a better life for you, for my sister. And it was like, I couldn't let them down. I had to go all the way for my dad, for my mom. And so that's why I was always focused in school, and very happy that I had that chance to do the early college because it got me into the classroom at the age of 21.
Wow, that's amazing. And Miss Black, how about you, Miss Librarian?
High school was very exciting
hold
for
on,
me.
real quick. Hey, hold on, Monica.
Okay.
Gabby, give him a shout out. What's his name?
My counselor
Yes.
from the, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out on his name right now.
Oh,
But I
come
know he volunteers at our campus. He is amazing. He's there for us all the time when we need him.
Gabby,
Let me
estás
think.
madereando. I want you to
I
think of that
know.
name.
I will think of that name.
We'll be back. All right.
Yes, I definitely will. Yes.
Look it in your phone. Look it up in your website. All right.
Yes, sir.
You got homework by the end of this show. Sorry, Monica. I apologize.
Oh,
Go
no
ahead.
problem. High school was an exciting time for me. I went to Dallas ISD schools, and I went to Skyline. And at that time, it was pretty large school. I think it was about 4,000. I don't know what it is today, but it was the first time for me that I had gone to school with students from all over Dallas County, and students that sometimes came from different places in different countries. That was a very exciting experience for me. I was inquisitive and curious, and I just wanted to know things. I enjoyed teachers. Somebody mentioned teachers who allow kids to learn in different ways. So I enjoyed teachers who had projects where kids can experience, talk about what they know in different ways. I think I rode under the radar for 9th and 10th grade year. I knocked out a bunch of classes, especially anything involving reading and writing. I wish I remember the counselor's name. I think I was a junior when she called me in and said, you should be taking more advanced classes. What are you doing? You are not working up to your potential, because that did light a fire under me. And that's when I got involved in things, yearbook and newspaper. I think I was what they call a nerd. Today, it's fancy. Everybody likes it, but it wasn't back then. And I do remember I'd be in English class or reading class, and I remember reading Beowulf and Canterbury Tales and all the classics. And I swear the teacher would give 30 pages, and I'd come back the next day and I'd be finished. And my friends would be looking at me like, did you seriously read that? And I really just enjoyed it. So I think I would describe myself as a nerd. I enjoyed school. It was fun for me. Reading and writing, excellent. I'm not a math and science person. Didn't enjoy that, but I worked hard at it. And I think it was a really good experience for me. I think Skyline really prepared me for college because it did expose me to students and teachers from different places. Whereas before I'd kind of been, insulated and everybody sort of looked like you. So having that opportunity to learn from different cultures and different experiences was really good for me when I went off to college. So.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Gabby, did you remember the name?
I did. A big old shout out to Mr. Reeves. That was my middle school counselor. He was the one that he would follow me around telling me I needed to turn in my application. So I was very happy when I found out he was a volunteer at our campus, and I had that opportunity to tell him thank you for, believing in me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Eso, así me gusta, Gabby, así me gusta. All right, big shout out to Melissa Jones Chunu from Tulsa, Oklahoma, joining us tonight. John Murray, top teacher in Garland ISD, past guest, thank you for being here today. Candy Garza, thank you for being here and part of the Fantastic Four family. Dr. Edwin Garcia up from New Jersey, right? New Jersey. Thank you for joining us tonight, Edwin Garcia. And part along that, a quick reminder that you all talked about, that was what I wrote, Dr. Moreno, in my chapter in Growing Your Why, the book that I helped publish, author right here. So check it out. I never had a counselor ever talk to me, only one time, to say, hey, how do you want to graduate? That's what 2 minutes conversation. That's all I saw a high school counselor, and they did not inspire. They were not there. They were worthless to my future aspirations. So we got to do better. And you know what? A lot of high school counselors are doing better. So if you want to read this, if you were a member of the Socorro High School family or a current MPA Jaguar family, your story will be told in this chapter right here. So panel members, real quick, as we go into what your role is on a campus, we all need that inspiration. So in your opinion, Amy, who or what educator inspired you the most that still lives through your veins? It doesn't have to be a teacher. If it is, that's great. It might be your abuelita. It might be a coach from a city league team. We all had a specific person to add light. Make sure we pass that those beautiful words to our kids today. Amy, who inspired?
Yes, it was a teacher, my fourth grade teacher. Her name is Donna Taylor. And Donna, if it wasn't for Donna, I don't think I would be a teacher. Both my parents were finance people. How me and my sister ended up in education, we have never figured out because our parents are very different than we are. So it's because of Donna, in fourth grade. She just was really that person for me, like I said before, that just made me feel seen, valued, and important. We moved elementary schools in the middle of the year. Sugar opened up, and our class moved over, and she picked one little girl and one little boy to go help her decorate the new room. And I was the little girl that got chosen. I still remember I got to ride in her car, help her in the room, and just her seeing me, it just made me feel so important and so loved. And I was lucky enough when I became a teacher in my roundabout way at age 27, I got hired at Beaver Tech, and she was a third grade teacher there. And we got to reconnect now as colleagues. And she told me, you don't have to call me Miss Taylor. You can call me Donna. And I said, no. You will always be Miss Taylor. And after she retired, she moved to Austin. When we would go down to Austin, we would connect and have lunch and meet up. She has passed on now, but I still keep in touch with her husband and her girls because I am her living legacy. And I try to give all of my kids that love and that scene help them to feel, at the end of the day, kids just need to go home feeling loved. I mean, if they learn multiplication, they learn cursive, all that, they need to feel loved and valued. So that's all thanks to Donna Taylor. I lived through her.
Qué bonito, Amy. Oh, those are beautiful words that every educator wants to hear. Oh, you almost broke me. Nathan, talk to us, beautiful.
Well, let's see. Over my lifetime of high school and college, I've had so many people that have been mentors and along the way. But the one that sticks out to me the most was my freshman year of high school. Coach Ronnie Tips, he was our head football coach and our athletic director at the high school in Ardmore. And he's the one that kind of got me going as far as my athletic training career. Because at the end of my freshman year, he sent me to a camp at the University of Oklahoma for a student trainer camp to learn how to tape and learn things of being an athletic trainer. And so I did that for 3 years after each year. And so it always goes back to Coach Tips. And anytime I go back, and then now I'm going to lose it a little bit. Sorry. I lost my dad in 2020, and so I went back to see a game, and he was in the stands. Oh, sorry. But Coach Tips was in the stands, and he came down to me, and he just hugged me, and he knew my dad had passed away. And so he was always that father figure, just like my dad was. Sorry. Woo. But so, yeah, Coach Tips was my influencer in high school. Sorry.
Nathan, you're fine. And you know what? I think it's important. I think it's important, Nathan, just so that the audience also knows that adults, teachers in the building truly have an impact on kids. And you can clearly see it from your testimonial right now that this gentleman by the name of Coach Tips really is a true inspiration to you and how you really connected. And when you really were hurting because of your dad, and I'm so sorry to hear that, but it's important for educators out there to see and to hear you sharing this story because it's important for everybody to hear. So thank you for being vulnerable, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it kind of hit me a little bit, but back to him, he was always right there, and so just when I saw him at the game, and it just brought back everything. It just was like, that's how much he meant to me, and he still does today. So,
thank you, brother. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you, Monica.
Gosh, there's a lot of teachers, but I think the one that really comes to mind was my 6th grade ELA teacher, and her name was Mrs. Rita Paris. And Mrs. Paris was a person who always took an interest in things that interest me. She was a person who always coached me for the spelling bee, and the person who told me to go to the library and ask for books that I felt like mattered, that I liked. She was the person who told me about every poetry contest or essay contest, or the person who had crackers in her drawer if you were a little hungry after recess. So she just really took the time to make me feel important and to make me feel loved. That is something I think that even if kids feel at home, there's never too much of that. So that's definitely the one that comes to mind for me.
Thank you, Monica. Appreciate you. Joe, talk to me.
I guess I mentioned it earlier. My 9th grade algebra teacher, Mr. Brown. It was ironic, when I did my master's, he was actually in one of my summer classes. So kind of like what Amy said, having that colleague become your friend in the professional working environment, it helped in regards to that. And then, of course, Wade Mortensen, too, my freshman basketball coach and football coach, who took me and introduced me to athletic training. We didn't have an athletic trainer in high school. I actually learned how to tape ankles from a book. And same thing, I wasn't going to make the basketball team, so they convinced me to be the manager and taught me how to tape ankles. And when I was a sophomore in the state basketball playoffs, he walked me over and showed me the training room. And I said, wait a minute, I can get paid to tape ankles? And it's ironic because there's a guy I follow on LinkedIn now, Dr. Toby Brooks. He's in North Texas now. But ironically, he's posted a lot of stuff over the last week on why athletic trainers are athletic trainers, because it's not the pay. Our knowledge in the medical field, from teaching to what we have to do to the responsibility that we're responsible for, and yet we still have those kids come back and mentor us and ask us questions. To look back on, when you sent those 7 questions this week, Josh, immediately Mr. Brown and Coach Mortensen came to mind for me, in regards to what they did for me in high school and even beyond.
Beautiful. And just so you all know, again, big spotlight on that cat right there. Every high school, I can only speak for what I've experienced, has kid trainers. I'm sure they have them here in Garland also. Nathan, you talked about that in Rowlett. But this guy's program was just saturated with student trainers. I've never seen it. I've been in a lot of high schools, but the number of kids that volunteer for that CATS program right there is just amazing. And it doesn't have to do with a lot that they're tied to a medical magnet, but just the way that he coaches them to be a trainer and allows them to really get dirty in the business. That is an ideal situation. So kudos to you, Joe, for everything that you do and build that program there. It's just years.
It's ironic you say that, Josh, because I have 3 former students who are all colleagues now practicing athletic training here in El Paso as well.
There you go.
In addition to doctors, lawyers, nurses, it's nice to see them. Kids make fun of me. I have a senior right now who in 5 years should be a nurse practitioner. She's in the BSN Fast Track program. And I told her, okay, in 6 years, you're coming back and doing physicals for me. So people make fun of me because I do look, I'm like, okay, I got this nurse practitioner for 3 more years. I actually have a girl who, I don't know if you remember her, Josh, Ashley Hernandez. She did the Marine Challenge for girls basketball, and she's doing a residency here back in El Paso at Texas Tech. So I saw her at the first basketball scrimmage, and I reminded her, hey, don't forget me, physicals around the corner.
Perfect. I love it. Gabby, talk to us. Close this out.
Oh my goodness. I think I was always blessed with all the teachers that I had because I could probably name them all from like kinder all the way to high school. But the ones
Don't
that
be a
always
politician.
the what I'm
Don't be a
sorry.
politician.
I know, right? No. But the ones that always stand up or stood out to me was my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Harding, who instilled that love of reading for me when he had our class reading Harry Potter. That's where I was like, oh my gosh, the world of reading is so amazing. So many things you can learn. And it carried on to high school with Miss Nelly Ugarte, who was my ELA teacher all 4 years of high school. Always made learning fun, relatable, was always there for us, not just for school-related things. If there was anything happening in our lives, she would lend a shoulder, lend an ear. She was always there for us. And Mr. Andy Waxman, my chemistry teacher, my sophomore year of high school, he was the kind of teacher that also always made learning fun, always made it relevant. And he was the kind of teacher that you would hate to disappoint. You would just know when he was disappointed, and you knew that we kind of like, we messed up. We did something wrong. And he was that kind of man that you just don't want to disappoint. And I still keep in touch with him, and he's already going to retire in a year, and I can't believe that he's already there to that point because we need more teachers like him, like them, actually.
Thank you for sharing, panel.
Awesome. So I'm just excited and just to hear, I mean, every one of you had Mr. Harding, Miss Perez, Coach Tibbs, Coach Brown, Donna Taylor. Like, you guys know their names, which is amazing. And I would just want all the educators out there to remind themselves that what you do every day in the classroom and what you do every day inside your schools really matters because those relationships are being built, right? And you're building those relationships. And look, years later, and you guys are still talking about them. So it is really cool. So let's talk about what do you do on a daily basis to help students, right? each and every one of you have a different role. So, what do you do daily to help students, and what brings you joy when you go to work? So, we're going to start off with Nathan.
Well, I've been doing the athletic trainer for 27 years in North Texas. In the last 4, I have been working at a middle school. And so that was a big difference coming down from the middle school as regards to the high school level. And as we all know, middle school kids are a lot different than the high school kids. And so I've really enjoyed the last 4 years because to me, middle school kids are at that age where they're trying to learn who they are and learn everything about themselves. And so on a daily basis, what brings me joy is helping those kids when they come to see me in the training room with something that's going on. And a lot of times, obviously, it could be an injury, but a lot of it, they just need some type of help or just a good word. And so I just go to my job, and I love my job, and it brings me joy every day to do what I do, and I carry that to the classroom as well. You would talk about building relationships, and so always first and foremost is you've got to have that relationship with the kids first and foremost. And so just every day just brings me joy. And and it took me 23 years, but I think I really found my calling at the middle school level. And so I really enjoy what I do.
Middle school is definitely a special place. I will definitely say that. Being a principal 20 years in middle school, it's truly a special place. So thank you, Nathan. How about you, Miss Monica?
Well, I'm excited to answer this question because there are so many people that I think don't know what we do in the library. So I'm excited to be able to answer. So what I do on a daily basis is I use resources to connect with student staff, and I just support the curriculum for Garland Independent School District. Those resources can be online, they can be digital, and of course they can be physical as well. But everything we do is about championing literacy and helping to make positive academic and social successes out of our students. And what gives me joy is being able to see that. Sometimes in education, we know we make a difference, but sometimes we have to wait to see the difference next year or years from now. So anytime I get an opportunity to see that difference, that it brings me joy every day. If I can tell one story, I had a book club at the elementary school that I left. And it was for boys who were a bit of a challenge sometime in the classroom. And I chose books about characters like themselves that overcame obstacles. And when these boys left 5th grade, they were going over to Louds Middle School. And we read, I want to shout out Jason Reynolds and Kwame Alexander, who are amazing authors and I love. And we read some of their books. When they went over to Louds, I called the librarian first week of school and I said, hey, there might be some boys that come in and they might ask you for Jason Williams or Kwame Alexander, because I told them to ask you when you came over. And I gave their names and she said, oh my God, I think 3 of those boys came in this morning and asked for those books. So it's those things, being able to see, we know we make a difference, but sometimes we have to wait to see it, but being able to see that brings me joy. And just, being able to build positive relationships with kids and make a real difference through books, resources, or whatever it is. That's what brings me joy, making kids happy and making a positive difference to them.
Yeah, I love the fact that you followed, you kept tabs and you helped that transition and really kind of supported them along the way. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
we
so
talked
much.
about that earlier. One more thing, Paige Portelli at one of the Garland High Schools and I last year, we worked together on a chess club. So her students came over and taught my students chess. So, I think that's one thing that librarians, we can do. I think we do reach back and reach forward and try and make those connections.
I love it. Love it. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Joe.
So it's ironic that you say that, but I look back at everything that we do. My day starts before everybody else's day starts. In fact, my wrestling coach just texted me. He starts practice at 6:30 in the morning. A young man hit his head. He's supposed to be evaluated by me before he's allowed to practice in the morning. So of course that all comes in it. I guess the joy of seeing what we do sometimes it's not always joy. Last Wednesday before we left for Lubbock for a bi-district football game, we had a swimmer who was like following me like a puppy dog, and she just needed to talk. And a lot of people don't realize that, but we are trained in mental health as well, and so people don't realize that we do that extra aspect, and it's like Nathan said, that a lot of times somebody just needs somebody to listen to them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are those cases that it's more than just listening to. It's reaching out to the school counselor. It's reaching out to their coach. And sometimes they want you not to say anything. Sometimes you're put in that key spot of, okay, I know they don't want me to say anything, but I have to say something.
Right.
In order to get them the help they need. We're a low income community. It's ironic because we're not on free and reduced lunch for the entire campus, because we do have a lot of medical magnet students that are coming from, doctors, families that kick us into that category. So the kids don't all get free lunch and free breakfast. Sometimes that's it. I think Monica brought up the fact that teacher that always had crackers. Kids are always, it's amazing how many kids come. I worked with a school nurse my first year in 1995, and I'll never forget what she used to tell kids: does your car run without gas? And they would say no, and she would say, well, neither do you. So she would always have pieces in her fridge, and I think the cafeteria would work with her and just give her whatever was left from breakfast, so that she had milk, juices, crackers, oranges, apples, whatever the kids would have, so they would have gas in their tank. So when we are performing testing, and it's crazy how many tests we have now. But those kids that they get that late lunch, they'll come here to my office a lot and be like, hey, I didn't get anything to eat. So now I reach out to the testing coordinator and I'm like, hey, where's the extra food? Because there's always extra food. You just got to figure out where it's at. Ironically, now with our new building, it's usually in the administrator's conference room, because they have a big fridge in there. So they put them in there. So it's just a matter of making sure those kids get to eat in regards to it. And then, of course, it's evaluating those injuries, rehabbing them from start to finish. There are those kids that are able to come back, but we do have those kids that aren't able to return to sport.
Right.
Their injuries are so severe.
Yeah.
We had one this past weekend that we had to call an ambulance for in Lubbock, Texas, which opened up a whole new ball game because parents weren't there in regards to it. And we did have to take care of that child. Luckily, he did get to come home the next day with our assistant principal in charge of athletics and our athletic coordinator. They both brought the young man back. But, we're not done. We still have to follow up. He's still having
Absolutely.
in regards to it. So we're going to make sure we get those kids taken care of in regards to what we do. And then in addition, we're the only district in El Paso that still teaches. So we do have 2 classes. I have 2 preps. I teach 1 health class and 1 sports medicine class. We grow it from there. So I do have to make sure that attendance, that second period attendance, if not, you get those emails. So our day doesn't stop. My principal always hounds on me, make sure you get your 30-minute duty-free lunch. And sometimes I look at him and I go, when? It's nonstop, because from morning treatments to lunch treatments to classes to get ready for afternoon practices, games, tournaments. It's nonstop. It's constantly going. Right now we're going to leave for Grapevine January 1st with my men's soccer team, which hopefully this year we'll make another run at that state championship. Looking really good in regards to it. So we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. And you know what? It's all worth it, right? At the end, it's all worth it. Amy, how about you?
Oh, what do I do on a daily basis? I sound like Joe. You sound like a school counselor, Joe. What do we not do? We're doing everything from finding clothing from someone who's had an accident to, contacting parents. Anyway, we do a lot of stuff. Right now, the main focus on school counselors is just following our 80-20 rule, which is that 80% of our time is spent in direct services with kids and 20% on those non-counseling duties. And that's always the battle, right? So I think the biggest thing I can do for kids is just give them the time to be heard, listened to, talked through their issues, their problems. What gives me joy is, being able to work with people, whether it's kids or their families or teachers, in their lowest moments of the day, their worst moments. Sometimes our families are going through some really tough stuff, and being trusted enough for them to share with me what's going on, help me connect them with resources in our community to get that mental health needs for the parents and for our kids. And what brings me joy is just, getting all the hugs and love from our littles, and then just building off the passion and fire that our staff has. I'm at a really great campus with really passionate, great educators. And it starts with my principal, and it's all works all the way through the building. And so we just have a good time. We have fun in the midst of some really difficult, hard things.
Yeah, I can imagine because the counselors are always the ones that are going to come to our rescue, right? I remember when we have those challenging students, and we're always looking for our counselors because they have the patience, they can talk to them, they have all of the secrets that sometimes we don't know how to handle. So kudos to you, Amy. Thank you. Gabby, round it out. Let's tell me what's going on.
Oh my goodness, what do I do on a day-to-day basis? It really differs on what my campus needs. I mean, shout out to my fellow librarians at Socorro ISD because we are truly jacks of all trades. We do so many things. As soon as I get into campus at 7 in the morning, I'm doing announcements for our campus, recording with our kiddos to send those out. I'm dealing with technology issues because at our district, librarians are the ones that are in charge of technology. I'm checking out laptops to kiddos, troubleshooting any issues they might be having. So I'm not just, as one of my colleagues said, man, if I were a librarian, I'd be reading all day. Trust me, I wish I could be doing that too. But unfortunately, that's not the job. We have to be, helping our kiddos out with those digital resources that our district purchases for them. We have to be helping with books that they want to look for because I'm still surprised. Oh my goodness, our kiddos are still interested in reading. Yes, of course I can get you that new Dogman book that you want to read, the new, Bad Guys, whatever it is that you want. I got you. I can find it for you. And it's hard wearing all those hats throughout the day, but that's what brings me joy, being able to help the students, help my campus, help my colleagues, support what they're doing in the classroom. That's what brings me that joy.
It's all about the kids, all about
Absolutely.
the kids. And as Amy says, and the family and the community. And so that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing.
Welcome, Marcela Austri, part of the Fantastic Four family. And without further ado, Jefe's in the room. Principal Cafele, thank you for being here today. The main lead of the Fantastic Four. Thank you for being here and joining us tonight. And hopefully your G-Men won there, Principal Cafele. That way you could be happy tomorrow. All right, guys. So part two, besides Gabby calling me out that I didn't have librarians here, part two is this. There are misconceptions of everybody. Allegedly, administrators, all we do is hand out donuts and eat donuts. Allegedly, all right? Or stay in our offices. Gotcha. There's misconceptions out there. So don't go into like a whole litany. Just give one or two misconceptions of what your job is. I'm pretty sure you've heard about this, or how people say, oh, this trainer does this. Oh, this librarian does this. Oh, this counselor does this. What would you like to clarify for the audience, Joe Messenger?
I do more than tape ankles and give bags of ice.
Right? Mm-hmm. All right. Give me more love, Nathan. Well, what else, brother?
That's what I would say as well, as the ice bags and the tape. But I do have a shirt for Joe as well. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it says "What off season." So that's my shirt. Is we don't, and he would say the same thing. Is we don't get an off season. These coaches always get an off season after their sport's over. We roll into the next sport, and sometimes we have a lot of sports that are going on at the same time. Volleyball and football, and throw in girls basketball, boys basketball. So. And I think that we do a whole lot more than just give out ice bags and tape ankles. So, that's the shout out I give.
And a parent out there that you get angry because your kid's not clear and you go to 7,000 doctors to try to get them clear, your trainer needs to clear them. And they don't have that 3 seconds to give a bag of ice because they got to work coming up. What is it, coaches? Right now it's basketball, football playoffs, it's soccer, it's There's one more. What else is out there?
Wrestling.
Wrestling. Hey, Joe, they don't have in North Texas. They don't have wrestling, bro, but they have bowling and water polo.
Well, don't forget gymnastics. That's a year
Oh,
round.
gymnastics also.
We hosted
all
state
right.
last year, so
Gotcha. And yes, Sahud, past guest of PGP Podcast Assistant Principal in Garland. Ms. Black is the bomb.com. Gabby, talk about misconceptions about a librarian.
I do more than just sit around and read all day and shush kids whenever they come into the library. And believe it or not, you need a master's to do this job. A lot of people don't know that we were teachers before we became librarians.
Monica, help her out. Give her some more
Okay, first of all, I'm going to say we still are teachers. I tell people all the time that I didn't give up being a teacher when I became a librarian. I just became a super teacher. On any given day, I might work with
Very
several
true.
academic teachers. I might work with the gym teacher. I might work with an awesome principal up there. I might work with anyone. So there's a lot we do. Misconception number one, I do not sit around all day and stamp books. In fact, I don't think we've had a stamp in 50 years. So we don't do that. And misconception number two, as much as I would like to, I don't sit around and read all day. However, at times I do read. Part of my job is to know what is in the inventory so that I know what best fits our kids. So, on occasion you might, catch me reading. That's part of what I do.
And we just hired Ms. Black at Memorial Pathway Academy. And let me tell you, we've had visitors the last couple of weeks from McKinney, from Mesquite, from Plano. They've all gone around there to come and visit our campus. And a lot of the teachers talk about the importance of the librarian to teaching emerging bilingual students and the way she connects with them. So that right there is the bomb.com. That lady right there, that lady right there. So she's doing a great job. Librarians always do a great job. Amy, close it out.
All right, misconception number one. I hate when I hear people say, our counselor is worthless. I never even see her. School counselors should be up with the leadership. You are part of the leadership team. We're not admin, but we are part of the leadership team. And so we are very useful. We are a resource. Second misconception is that we're always happy. Underneath the surface of that smile and positivity, just know we are burdened. We hold everybody's burdens in our heart. With that confidentiality, we know what's going on with everybody, and it's in that locked vault in our hearts, and that's big some days. So treat us with kindness and gentleness too.
Gotcha. And you know what? I invited a high school counselor. She got tied up with some family things. But one other thing, that misconception, parents, senior that's about to graduate, yes, they are at work. Yes, they do get your messages. Yes, they are there. Just that there might be like 3,000 other kids. So just heads up. Just know that your counselors are there. And imagine, they all have an alphabet or a grade level, and they're in charge of every single last one of the classes that you're taking, all your credit recovery, all of your EOCs, all of your graduation requirements. And you know what? They might be a little bit tied up at the high school level, making sure that you become the best version of yourself and you graduate. So that's a misconception that I hear a lot, because I get the complaints. I try to get a hold of the counselor and they are never there. Ay, por favor. Yes, they are. Trust me.
That's
Take
right.
it
And
away.
if you're at the elementary, you are K through 5, every single person's counselor. So there's 600 of them and one of us, and that's a lot.
Bang. Go, Dr. Moreno.
Drop the mic right there. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. So, as teachers and as professional colleagues, we're always looking for professional development. We're always looking for support. We're always looking for specific support to help ourselves. So, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to identify a specific support that you are asking from any stakeholder that you can think of that you want to seek help from, or provide more support for yourself. So think of maybe your administrators, maybe parents, maybe students. Like what kind of support would you ask of any one of those stakeholders? And we're gonna start off with Miss Monica.
Um, Stakeholder up there, Mr. Tovar. I'd love to attend the Texas Library Association's conference. It's the one conference a year where the thing about being a librarian is many times we're the only librarian on the campus. If you're lucky, maybe there's two of you. So we don't get many opportunities to converse with other people and to learn from them, as the way teachers do. So that conference is in Dallas this year. I'd love to go, especially this being my first year on a high school campus. I go there specifically to seek out people and sessions to learn more and to be a better librarian. So I think that is super important. I'd love to go this year. Thank you for asking that, Dr. Moreno.
Yeah, of course, of course. I
That's
set it up just for you.
In a few days.
Awesome, awesome. And it's so important to go to conferences. I mean, we talk about that in other podcasts. And so thank you. Thank you for sharing. Miss Gabby, as another librarian, what would you say?
I'm jealous I didn't think of that, because that's definitely one of the things that we struggle with at our district is the funding to be able to go to those conferences, especially TLA. That is very important for us as librarians, because yes, we hardly get to, talk to, even within our feeder, to communicate with our colleagues. It's hard. So maybe having that time to be able to network with our librarians, with our fellow colleagues, would be definitely one of the things I would ask admin. It might help us a little bit.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Amy, how about as a counselor?
Right now, I'm really crossing my fingers that I get a grant. So I'm reaching out to the Garland ISD Education Fund. A grant. I want to start an SEL club at my school to help kids with mindfulness and being regulated. And then I want to extend that out to hosting an SEL night for our families so that they can connect with their kids and learn more about SEL. So I'm really crossing my fingers for that $1,200 grant. Hoping it comes through.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. And that's so needed too, all the SEL stuff. So thank you for reaching out and doing more, right, above and beyond what you're doing, so that you can secure those funds to kind of provide more support for your community. So thank you. What about you, Joe? What kind of support would you ask the wonders above?
So I think Josh hit on it earlier when he mentioned parents realize that guy is going to clear your kid. It doesn't matter how many doctors you go to. Every doctor's clearance I get, we put them through a functional test. I mentioned earlier, 3 of my former students are all practicing athletic trainers. I'm blessed to have one of them with me. She's actually working on her doctorate in rehab science through Texas Tech. She's the first athletic trainer ever admitted into that program. And so I think the biggest thing is we get new coaches on our campus. And of course, those incoming freshman parents, they need to learn to trust us. Because that's the biggest battle we have in regards to it. I tell coaches, you're creating monsters by not walking those freshmen to my office so that I can take care of them. And when you walk them here with a broken leg, it's too late. I need to see them constantly, and I constantly post stuff and email coaches and let them know, there's the athletes that play both ways, both sides of the ball. They live in their training room. It's about recovery. It's about nutrition. It's ironic how many kids I have that meal prep, and the first stop in the morning is they're dropping off their lunch. So when they come at lunch to do treatments, they're microwaving it. That way they're getting that nutritious meal in regards to it. And it's amazing to watch the programs that are successful and how they buy into what we do. And then other programs that are like, well, how do we turn this around? We have a new head football coach and athletic coordinator on campus. And I mean, he's got a lot of work to do. He's going to go down in history as famous as the first football coach ever to go 0-11 his first year. But it was amazing because before we took the field Thursday, he told me, he said, I can't wait for off-season football. And I said, I'm so glad you said that, because you got a ton of work to do in order to turn that program around. And I hope they realize how important we are in their program, and not just to push it off. Nathan held up that sign, what off season? We went year-round school here a couple years ago, and I didn't have a week off. I was on this campus every week for a year and a half. And so this past intersession, when they asked me to teach, I said, you know what? No, I'm going to take a week. I need a week for myself. And for my family, you know, my wife had a list of honeydews at home that needed to be done. And it's ironic because we do that. So, I mean, I think Josh hit it on the head, and, you know, kudos to him, because when the concussion law rolled out, Josh was my AP in charge of athletics, and our school's nurse name was Joe as well. And I'll never forget the day he called us into his office and he said, Joe, sit down. Look, we got to work together on this. We can't have parents dividing us in the middle. And, you know, I still implement some of those protocols that he did. You know, as soon as that new nurse comes in, that's one of my first meetings is with that campus nurse to make sure that we're on the same page, because we treat suspected concussions. You know, a lot of nurses, they feel we can't do anything without a diagnosis, and we're going based off of our sideline evaluation that we did the night before, or, you know, that game of, and we have to make sure that those people are all on the same page.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Nathan, round us out, sir.
I think that the support of admin is where I'm at. I mean, everywhere I've been, I've always had the support from the principal to the assistant principal to the head coaches, making sure they understood where I come from and where we can meet in the middle on some issues. And the main thing is, like Joe said, the parents. I mean, you have to educate the parents up front. We have a meeting every year with the parents to go through UIL policies and to make sure they understand when a concussion happens, this is what's going to happen because this is the state law that we have to follow. And so if you educate the parents up front, and then hopefully on the back end, you don't have that irate parent. You will have some that will always try to, go around you. But if they try to go to the principal hopefully is going to back you on everything that you do. And I just think that if we educate the parents more up front, that only helps us in the long run. And I think that helps with everything in education. Yeah. As long as the parents understand these are the policies, these are the rules, then you have to follow it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
All right, we're about to close the show off, but before we close it off with the lightning round, the Échale Ganas questions, I want you to tell the audience, obviously you've had tons of beautiful moments in your career, tons, as your current role, okay? Because if someone aspires to be whatever your role is, I want you to share one story with the audience of an interaction, I love you moment, an aha moment, a professional, beautiful moment that you had. So that person that right now is thinking, do I want to be a trainer? Do I want to be a librarian? Do I want to be a counselor? They say, sí, está bien bonito este trabajo. It's real. This job is real beautiful. So talk to the audience about one interaction, one, not 10,000, one, and make it brief. Gabby, about your job.
Oh, good. Going from teaching high school to a campus where I have my little pre-Ks, whenever I run into them in the hallway and they go, Miss Gabby, and they want to hug me and they say hi, they say good morning, I remember this is why I'm here. Because I am someone important to these kids that is going to inspire them somehow. That is why. That is why you want to get into this job.
Love it. Monica, back her up.
A couple of years ago, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I'd always wanted to participate in World Hijab Day. I'd always been kind of afraid, like I don't want to offend anyone. But one year I said, I know my reasons for doing it. I'm just going to jump into it. I gave some information on Class Dojo, and I got out of my car one day, and the parent got out with his daughter, who was Muslim, and said through the daughter, because he didn't speak a lot of English at that time, we really wanted her to start wearing a hijab last year. We did not know how it would be taken. We didn't know what she was experiencing. And you doing this has given us what we need to allow her to start wearing a hijab this year. And we had a conversation about what he wanted me to do, how I wanted to share with students. We had a really good conversation. And in the end, he wanted she and I to read the exact same book in her classroom, and they wanted the classroom to submit questions on an index card and send them home for the question that they wanted to answer. That was that really sticks out to me, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that every single kid, every single situation feels seen. And that was an occasion where I know I did something that made a difference to that one person and that one family. And through that one person and the one family, made a difference to everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Nathan.
When I was at the high school secondary level years ago, I had a young man that came through my student trainer program. And after he graduated high school, he wanted to do this. And so he wanted to be an athletic trainer. He wound up going to a 4-year school, went on to get his master's, and did a couple of stints because he had the passion of going to the professional level. And so he did a few interns. He did one with the Detroit Lions for a year, and then he wound up doing it for the Houston Astros for 1 year. And so they give me, it kind of reflects on me as far as inspiration right there. That young man is still an athletic trainer today and still doing what he loves. So,
Nathan, I would be remiss if you could say pass. Can you talk about that young man that you helped save the life?
Well, ironically, it was actually 2 years today. And so it was November 17, 2022 is when this happened. It was on the practice field. They were doing sprints. He went into sudden cardiac arrest. Everything went into motion. We did CPR, AED. Everything went the right way. He went to downtown Dallas Children's for 1 week. And then on Thanksgiving Day, he was able to open his eyes and start talking. And this young man is now a freshman, walking the halls at the high school. And so I saw him for the last 2 years, 7th grade and 8th grade. And so just seeing him and seeing his face and, it's a day that I'll never forget. It's a day that you don't want to ever have to do as an athletic trainer. But I will honestly say everything that happened went right. And that's just because of my coaches that were there and the training that we had done, teaching them CPR, teaching them about the AED, and just putting the emergency action plan that we have. You don't ever want to use it, but when we had to use it, it worked.
Perfect. I guess you gave out more than a bag of ice that day, right? Joe.
A lot more than a bag of ice.
Joe, back him up.
So I guess to piggyback on what Nathan said, the young man we had to put in the hospital in Lubbock this past weekend, it was for a suspected C-spine injury. And when I got to the ER, my partner was actually in the ER with him. And all he said was, I kept asking, where's Messenger? Where's Messenger? And, he's the second brother. His older brother just went to the Army this past week for basic training. So it's just him and mom at home. And he just kept asking, where's Messenger? Where's Messenger? And, it's the test results, the CAT scan had come back that the C-spine was okay. They were still checking the rest of the spine because he was having some pain in the thoracic region. And I shared with him when I was a graduate athletic trainer at Adams State, I had a decathlete break his back in the weight. And so when he came back in a, I guess you'd call it like a turtle shell almost, but he had a incision on his back that had to be cleaned. And he walked into the training room and Dr. McGowan at the time said, I'm the only one that's going to clean it. And this kid's nickname was Buzz. Buzz said, no, don't take this wrong, but if it wasn't for that guy, I would have tried to walk out, which meant I probably would have been a paraplegic. And because he insisted on me staying where I was, that's why I'm walking in here today. So he's going to clean my incision. So just those little things, I guess, of the athletes saying thank you. And eventually the parents coming back too. You get those parents that are irate at you up front, and they think you're there to hold their kids out, and that's the last thing we want to do is hold a kid out of athletics. But we are tasked with making those decisions on when do they play and when don't they play. And it's amazing how many people over the years have challenged. It's my boys' soccer coach. I'll never forget, before the concussion law even existed, he was so mad at me at a regional meet because I had to hold a kid out to check him for a concussion. And he was like, "That's not why we brought you, to hold kids out." And I was like, "You're correct, but it's my job to make sure they're safe and able to return." And, that's a huge responsibility that falls on our shoulders. And, ironically, this past weekend, it was my partner that actually spine boarded the kid. I was on the sideline dealing with an internal organ injury. And so I just kind of glanced over my shoulder and I saw her checking C-spine, and I went, "Oh, crap." And everybody kind of asked me, "Do you need to go?" And I was like, "No, she's there. The doctors from the Lubbock School are there. They got this." And so I had to trust her training with what we taught her here at the high school level, and then her undergraduate at UTEP and her graduate at Texas Tech, and even her, her doctorate in rehab science that she's working on, that she was going to do what she needed to do. And like I said, it's we're not out of the wood yet with the young man, but it's looking good because he was allowed to come home. And so mom's already started reaching out saying, "Hey, help me get this doctor's appointment. Help me get that doctor's appointment." Because over the years, you do make those connections with doctors and you're able to get those kids in regards to it and help the parents out.
Oh, I remember that game, Joe. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I don't miss high school athletics at all. Amy, talk to us.
A couple of years ago, I was blessed to be nominated for the Texas School Counselor of the Year. So in the application process, I was recording a video, and I had asked some parents and teachers and kids to just speak to, has the counseling program done anything for them? How has it benefited them? And I had a parent give a really nice testimony about going through a divorce, going through a move, different lifestyle change for his kids, and how I had helped them through the transition. And, he had said, like, without Miss Sinclair, we wouldn't have been able to come out on the other side as well as it all worked out. And just hearing the kids too, saying how much I've helped them. It reminds you that the work we do is important and it's noticed and it does make a difference. I went on to win because it was such a great video. All those people said some really nice things. But yeah, that's just, it's important what we do. We don't do it for all those stories or for the pay, but just knowing like you touch somebody's life keeps you going through the hard times.
Amy, you're a mind reader. I was going to tell you to give yourself those accolades. And you know what? That's a sad thing about our profession is sometimes we don't want to say that. But you know what? You work hard for that. You work hard for those kudos when we get them as educators. And you know what? Just like you said, Amy, earlier, you absorb all that trauma from the kids and you carry it. All of us as educators, those kids that cry, that lost the season on game one or during a pre-game, they lost the whole season because of a broken leg. Those trainers, they absorb that. Librarians like Monica connects with them in the library. They share those stories. And you know what? Those are those little things that people don't know. And you know what? We take them in and we bring them home. Imagine the experience that Nathan had with that kid, lives in his hand. That's never going to leave him at all. So remember, let's be kind. It's Thanksgiving time. Let's love each other. That's part of the Chinchilagua talk today. And part of the talk is we're closing it out. It is the Échale Ganas questions. We got one more week. I don't know about New Jersey or New York, but this is our last week in Texas. Before that, we go into Thanksgiving. I know some parts of the country, they'll do the first 3 days and only they're off Thanksgiving and Friday. I don't know, but it's Thanksgiving and we need to give thanks, but we're still going to work tomorrow. So it's time for you to inspire people. You got that panel and the Échale Ganas. Hey, Wisconsin, Ganas, what is that? It's not a hot sauce. It's a mythical word created, used by all Hispanics. El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama. No importa. It doesn't matter. It's a generational word that's said from great-grandmother to daughter to child. It's a word that inspires us. There is no equate, none in English for Ganas because it's a cultural, spiritual word that is said at work, at school, at home. We just don't use it like grit. No, that's not the same. It's almost there, but it's not the same. So yo quiero, I want you all to give a quick lightning round. Panel, lightning round. It's a lightning round, and we're going to start off with you, Nathan. Here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Best advice I can give to new teachers is build those relationships. You have to build the relationships first and foremost. Yes, you're going to educate. Yes, you're going to touch lives. But if you build the relationship first, you're going to catch them really quick and they're going to get hooked and it'll go a long way.
All right, lightning round, brother. A little bit faster than that. Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or a student that inspired you. Nathan?
Oh, I didn't know it was still me. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I have a note from a student last year. She said, "Thank you for such a great year. I love spending time with you during football season. I loved hearing your stories and appreciate you always pushing us to do our best. I think you are the reason my 8th grade year truly was unforgettable. I loved also building relationships and getting to know you."
Eso, I love that. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Education wise, honestly, I think that it would be my school nurse. We have a relationship that we talk every day about kids, about life, and just in general. And to go along with what happened 2 years ago, she was actually in my training room when the young man went into sudden cardiac arrest. So she was right there with us, helping us save that kid's life. So she truly is an inspiration. I don't know. I've had a lot of nurses at the high school, but she definitely in 27 years is the best one I've ever been around.
Do you know of an educator on social media that people should follow?
That's a tough one. I really don't. I don't really follow a whole lot of people. I was talking to my wife about this. I mean, I watch a lot of sports. I mean, I'm an athletic trainer. And so World Series really got to me this year, hearing the story about Freddie Freeman. And so that's who I kind of followed a little bit this year was Freddie Freeman and his story and where his platform is right now.
Perfect. Name one song, brother, that embodies you, your spirit as a person.
I tried to think about this and nothing comes to mind. I mean, I just, I guess I could say it funny about the Bee Gees staying alive, but truly, Lauren Daigle comes to mind. I love Lauren Daigle songs. And so anytime I just need some inspiration, I listen to Lauren Daigle. If you don't know who Lauren Daigle is, she's a Christian artist.
All right. Christian artist.
Favorite what?
What's your favorite quote? Your favorite quote?
So I heard this years ago, my first year in favorite quote, heard this my first year in education. Our principal said, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how sad you get, or no matter how mad you get, the day's going to be over and the sun will rise the next day.
Yeah. What's your favorite cheat food and or sweet?
Well, I had one the other night, a Brahms old-fashioned banana split.
All right. So if people want to learn from a former high school, middle school trainer, how can they reach out to you, get a hold of you?
Honestly, email. I don't have social platform. I'm not an X or anything like that. I do have Instagram though. So
what's your IG?
I just don't use it much.
What's your IG? Give your address.
I don't even know what my IG is. I think it's Nate_Swanner.
There you go. That's all right. I got you. All right, Joe, here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Continue to learn. Don't stop. It always changes. And seek out those ones that have been doing it for a while, the successful ones. Do a walkthrough of their classroom. Go see what they do on classroom management. Learn from people that have been doing it, especially if it's struggling. If there's an area that you're struggling with, lesson plans. Reach out in your department. There's somebody that is an expert. You just need to find that one person and they'll give you pointers. And it just takes that one thing that catches your attention and you'll run with it.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
How about an administrator? I had an assistant principal who retired last year, and he was big on writing letters, handwritten. And he wrote a letter saying that, you know, he was in education 30 plus years. And over the years, I ranked in the top 3 athletic trainers he ever worked with. And he was a coach and an assistant principal. And, you know, he just said, I know people don't know what you do or spend the amount of hours that you spend. They think you sit in your office and not do anything all day. But I've seen you in and out. He was with us when we won state soccer. In fact, he was required to ride with me because my principal didn't want me driving by myself all over the state of Texas. And for those of you that don't know how big the state of Texas is, our regional trip from El Paso to Wichita Falls is a 13-hour bus ride. And then the next week, state's easy. It's only 9 hours to Round Rock. So it's a lot easier to do that. So, you know, it meant a lot for an assistant principal who sometimes I wondered, hey, does this guy have my back? And to get that letter and realize, yeah, he did. But at the same time, you know, he's got to appease his boss and the parents and the counselors and the coaches. And, you know, it's ironic because he came up this past weekend when all this happened, because my partner's like, yeah, that poor guy, he got cussed out the week before by a coach, but the next week he showed up a professional and you know, accepted it, did ask for an apology from the coach, but he was amazing with the resilience and the fact that he showed up to work. I mean, he hardly ever was absent. He was here, a lot like we are, you know, day in and day out. And we do interact a lot with those administrators because they too have no off season. You know, I had an administrator who retired last year, Dr. Octavio Sanchez, advised me 14 years ago, Joe, do you like your summers off? Yes, don't go into administration. And ironically, I thank him for that. Pay-wise, I'm not that far behind an administrator when it comes to our stipend and all the extra duties that we have to pick up. But if I want to take the summer off, I have that option. Versus was you're an administrator, it's not your decision.
All right, brother. Hey, I love you, man. You know I love you. But lightning round, bro. Lightning round. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
You know what? I'd have to say Dr. Toby Brooks. He was the curriculum director at UTEP, or he tried to make it. UTEP didn't succeed. Went to Texas Tech. Now he's at Baylor. And the stuff he's posting on LinkedIn right now about why trainers are trainers is just amazing. And I think he needs to keep it going.
Who should people follow on social media?
LinkedIn. That's really my social media platform. It's just Joe Messenger. Messenger, MESSINGER. They changed it from an E to the I on the boat ride over from England. My plaque or my staff from England, it is Messenger because we were messengers for the king.
All right, but the question is, who should they follow? Who should?
Oh, Toby Brooks.
Toby
Same
Brooks,
thing
all
on
right.
LinkedIn, yes.
What's one song that embodies you as a person?
You know what? Welcome to the Jungle by
Guns N'
Motley
Roses.
Crue, because when Guns N' Roses, sorry. Hey, don't ask me who sang it. I can sing the words to you. But in high school, it was our warm-up basketball song when we were juniors, because we were the Panthers, and if you didn't get to the gym by halftime of the girls' game, you didn't get in. And so I think sometimes education's a lot like that. It's a jungle out there. You know, from my first year in education, where we were on a riot at Austin High School, we made national news, which started as a milk fight in the cafeteria that sprung out into the parking lot, which, you know, got blown out of proportion by social media. But in regards to it, it's a jungle out there, but we keep coming back for more.
What's your favorite quote?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
What's your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Reese's, chocolate and peanut butter.
How can people reach you again on LinkedIn?
Joe Messenger.
Love it. Amy, here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Assume positive intent. People are doing the best they can with what they have where they're at, and make every moment a teachable moment with people. The way you talk to them, the way you interact with them, from adults down to kids.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
So I got this one from a staff member because my goal as a counselor coming in was to be seen as a resource. He says, Amy, thank you for everything you do, not only just for our students here at Beaver, but for your friends on staff. You're one of the most genuine and truest personalities that I've had the pleasure to meet and now to call a colleague and friend. Thank you for going the extra mile with all my issues as well. Just being able to help our staff as well. Keep doing what they're doing.
Love it. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Got to give it up to my principal, Jay Garcia. She's been my principal for 2 years now. She inspires me. She's crazy. She's fun. She keeps things positive with high expectations. I'm learning so much under her.
Who should the audience follow on social media?
My favorite counselor is Counselor Carrie with a K, Keri. She's got the best ideas.
What's one song that embodies you as a person?
So my favorite band is the Avett Brothers. I'm a groupie. I travel around the country to see them. I've seen them 25 times in concert. So their song, Salvation Song, I want to read a lyric. We came for salvation. We came for family. We came for all that's good. That's how we'll walk away. We came to break the bad. We came to cheer the sad. We came to leave behind the world a better way. That's what keeps me going.
Nice. Your favorite quote?
Decide what to be and go be it by the Avett Brothers.
What's your favorite cheat food? What's your favorite sweet?
French fries.
Ah.
In any form.
How can people reach you?
Probably email. Go to Beaver Technology Center, click on the counselor, you'll reach me, or through X. My ad is Amy Lee Sinclair.
Love it. Monica, here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Oh, my advice to a new teacher would be willing to learn from and observe anyone. It doesn't matter if they're your grade level, if you're a subject level, there's so many things that you can learn from other people. And most definitely be willing to ask for help. I think we lose so many new teachers because they're overwhelmed and they just didn't reach out for help. So that's my advice.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
I got a text recently when I put up our Native American display outside. Some of the information I got from one of the ladies that I work with at the last school, and she's Muskogee Creek. I was going to take the stuff back to her when I left because it was kind of like on loan to the library. But she said, take it with you and keep sharing the good word. And so I shot her a picture when I put it up, and she sent back to me, it says, I love you and the compassion and curiosity and empathy that you have always shown to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and just keep being the light. So that's kind of what I want to be to everyone.
Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Current educator that inspires me, Tanisha Brown, who is currently the assistant principal at Sewell Elementary. She is such a great educator, such a strong woman of faith. And sometimes, in any field, it's time to move on and do something else. And let me be clear, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with where you're leaving. It's just God saying you've done what I wanted you to do, and it's time to move and do something else. And there were so many conversations that I had with her that she inspired me. She probably doesn't even know. But just as a friend, an educator, and just an all-around great person, she definitely gets my shout out.
Beautiful. One person people should follow on social media?
Don't know his name, but all across social media, it's Three Kings Vision, the Black male librarian. Black librarians are really in short supply in public schools, and especially Black men. So he shares a lot of good information and does a lot for his community.
What's one song that embodies
That's
you?
right. You got to be.
All right. Your favorite quote?
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
What is your favorite cheat food, young lady?
I have so many. I'm just going to have to narrow it down to Blizzard, Dairy Queen. Just about any flavor, you can't miss me.
Who or how can they reach you?
You can reach me definitely by email, but also on X is @BooksCEO. On Instagram, it's the Locked Librarian. That's LOC_D_librarian. And all across a bunch of Facebook groups, it's M. Lynn Black.
Gabby, let's round it out. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Give advice to a new teacher.
Find your mentor, someone who's going to help you improve your craft and is going to support you and help you, because that first year is always hard.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
I actually got an email from our webmaster from the district that said, "Hi, Gabby, I just wanted to reach out and say thanks for your hard work on the website. I noticed the flyers that you posted, and every word that was in the flyer was also in the post. I truly appreciate it because this allows people with disabilities to also get the same information. I know it seems redundant, but for people with visual conditions, it means a lot. Sometimes we feel like our work goes unnoticed, so getting that little bit of recognition was like, people do see what we do."
Love it. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
I have to take it back to that chemistry teacher that I had in high school who's still teaching, Mr. Waxman. He's very passionate about what he does. Sad to see that he's retiring, but he's put in his years and has definitely earned it.
Who should people follow on social media?
Mr. Tovar, because he's going to remind you to échale ganas all the time.
What's one song that embodies you as a person?
I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty, because no matter how hard the circumstances get, you just got to keep going. You can't give up.
What's your favorite quote?
Believe you can, and you're halfway there, by Theodore Roosevelt.
What is your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Hot Cheetos. Give me them spicy chips. I am there.
How can people reach you? They want to learn about a K through 8 librarian.
You can follow me on X at giayala_JHS or through email at giayala04@sisd.net.
Awesome. Thank you, panel. Don't hang up. Don't hang up yet. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You could be somewhere else or on the rebroadcast. You could have not. You could have heard another podcast, but you stayed here with us. Thank you very much, because remember, you are not alone. It doesn't matter where you're at. We are part of the same team. Education across the board, across the globe. We're all only stronger together, and we get it from all of this knowledge right here, from athletic trainers, from secretaries, from paraprofessionals, from custodians, from everybody that we've had on the show. We all only get closer together by learning from each other, and that doesn't stop. Next week we'll have Shika and Tammy, part of the Fantastic Four after that, and then the following week we'll have our second assistant principal roundtable and a brand new guy I learned about, Dr. Chris Culver, after that. The talent does not stop on this show, because you know what? The kids keep on coming. We're just getting older. They're staying younger, and we need to make sure that our tools are sharpened, and it's only going to happen by learning from all of these experts right here. So join us next week at 6 p.m. Central, part of the Fantastic Four PGP podcast. Thank you very much. You have a great evening. Say goodbye, everybody.